This right here is a balancing act. Talent. Welcome back, my book-loving friends. Happy December. Yeah, it's Christmas. Pause, because we have some books to talk about from not only November, but October as well. 2 months worth of reads here. Lovely. We have 15 books to go through. I'm gonna give you my thoughts, ratings, all spoiler free. Y'all know the drill. So without further ado, let's get into it. The School for Good Mothers was my lowest rated book. This was a mess. You know when you pick up a new novel and it starts off slow, but you don't really think much about it because, you know, it's a new world, you're still getting to know the characters, so you just assume as time goes on that it'll get better. This did not. If anything, it got worse. In theory, the premise sounds really intriguing and like it would promote some interesting conversations, but then in the actual execution, it leans too far into that commentary, making the actual plot seem like an afterthought. In The School for Good Mothers, our protagonist is single mom Freya, who one day kind of has a breakdown because motherhood is stressful. As someone who mothers 3 rabbits, I would know. No, I'm kidding. So Freya, in a spur-of-the-moment decision, leaves her child unattended for 2 hours to get some much-needed alone time. However, Child Services finds out about this and takes custody away from Freya unless she attends a boarding school for bad mothers, where she will learn how to be a proper mother, how to mother properly, as far as society is concerned. As one may assume, the author dives into, and by that I mean unnecessarily prolongs, discussion around the unrealistic expectations mothers face in society, which is great and very applicable for modern day, so I don't want to negate that. But by focusing so much on the commentary, the author really does the book a disservice, as the overall plot is ultimately bland and emotionally flat. Hold up, she didn't just leave it there with the commentary, no, because there's commentary on AI as well. That's new to me. At this boarding school, the mothers are basically paired up with these AI replicas of their children, replicas with thoughts and emotions. So the author hints at what this might mean for society and their place within society, which I found to be the most interesting and nuanced aspect in here. However, that wasn't even fleshed out. For a novel that is character-focused, the characters came across as pretty one-dimensional. The writing was also slow and repetitive. About an hour into the audiobook, we had not even gotten into what happens in the blurb, so I actually had to go back and reread the synopsis to make sure the book was actually about what I thought it was about. It's like, it should not take that long to get to the meat and potatoes. Some of us are hungry for sustenance out here. There wasn't really a redeeming element in here. I'm done talking about this. This was not it. A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, I also gave 2 stars. It also coincidentally took me 2 years and 2 DNFs to finish it. You're like, Sarah, you should have just let it be after the first DNF. Yeah, you're probably right, but you see, I am a completionist at heart. And since I already owned the book, I didn't want to feel like I was wasting my money, even though I was definitely wasting my time, which, you know, if you really want to argue, you could say that by wasting my time, I was wasting my money, but mind your business. But I also believe that in every book, even one you don't like, you can gain something from it. Not sure what I gained from here, but okay, so maybe I'm wrong, actually. A Deadly Education is set at the Scholomance, a magical but deadly school for young sorcerers that has no teachers or authority figures. I'm still trying to figure out how these children learn, but it does have monsters that lurk throughout and hunt said students. Now, you may be wondering why these children would attend the school if they're probably going to end up dead. Well, the chances of survival within are a lot better than outside of the school. Our protagonist in here is Elle, who has an affinity for death and destruction she must keep to herself if she ever wants to graduate. But this book would not be if that was the case. I did enjoy the overall story and the magical boarding school vibes, but this book was a chore to get through. This felt like if Harry Potter was written with a ton of inner monologue and info dumping. Our protagonist was also kind of infuriating and stuck up and selfish. Although it's inherent that an unlikable character is unlikable, they should still be likable in an unlikable way, if that made sense. I do have to give credit where credit's due. That ending. Cliffhanger much. I kind of want to pick up the next book now just so I know what happens. So I could read/listen to the next book and put myself through that agony. Or I could look up what happens, but then I'd be spoiling it for myself, which I hate doing on principle. So I don't think I want to do that. I don't know what to do. Does the series get better? I don't even want to find out, but I do want to find out. I'm at a crossroads. Kiss and Spell by Celestine Martin, I gave 3 stars. This was sent to me by the publisher, so thank you so much Forever Team. I was honored to receive an advanced copy. Overall, this was okay. Nothing that I feel like you have to go out and read immediately. It was fine. However, if you love fantasy and you want a rom-com with fantasy lingo, maybe give this one a go, because it is between a witch and a fae prince who has come to this realm in search of the kiss that will break his curse. This is the second book in the Elemental Love series, and I went into this being like, yeah, I don't
need to read the first book.
I probably should have, because I was definitely missing out on some references going on, and so I just felt a little out of the loop, which isn't the book's fault, that's on me. I did know that in the first installment, Ursula was written to be kind of a terrible person, so I did like seeing that redemption arc, as I'm sure we've all done stuff we regret, so that aspect was really relatable and unique in a rom-com. My biggest problem with this book: we all know how rom-coms are going to end, so the fun is how we get there. Can't say this was much fun. I was kind of bored. And to have made the story more compelling, the author could have perhaps made the stakes higher. The Fae Prince, Xavier's ultimate choice is to either leave his realm and stay with Ursula, or go back to his realm and leave Ursula. But he had nothing binding him to his realm. He literally just sat on his bum all day and did nothing. So it's like, was there really a choice? Still, it was really beautiful seeing Xavier build this life for himself in Freya Grove that he had never known he was missing out on. Some refinement here would have been nice. This is definitely a slow burn, a bit too slow of a burn for me. What is in my eye besides my contact lens, that is? I don't know. Moving on. Magic Lies and Deadly Pies by Misha Pop was my little dabble into the cozy mystery genre this fall. I gave this 3.5 stars. Was this the best book ever? No, but did it give what it promised? A cute story about magic pies that avenge women and cleanse the earth of downright terrible abusive men? Yeah. I also was not expecting the author to grace us with some commentary on social issues. I'm not like an avid cozy reader, so maybe I'm wrong about this, but that seemed a bit out of place. And saying that though, I really liked that inclusion. It gave the overall story more merit. The character development. Let's talk about it. Daisy's character felt somehow both developed and underdeveloped. She had backstory, but that's about it. And whenever a new character was introduced, Daisy would be like, yeah, there's just something about them that makes me think about them so much. So you can't name a single thing about this character that stood out to you. To me, that seemed like the scapegoat way of the author not having to develop characters, but I did love the good for her energy throughout and the strong feminist themes. So I do plan on continuing with the series. Although there are areas for growth, this was a solid first installment. She Started It by Sian Gilbert. I went back and forth for the longest time on what I wanted to rate this, because on one hand, I figured out the twist pretty early on, but then on the other, this actually made me feel scared. Me. Scared. The creepy atmosphere really immersed me into the story. Set on a secluded Caribbean island, this thriller follows 3 best friends who are invited to the bachelorette party of Poppy, the girl they used to bully back in high school. Now, these 3 mean girl-like friends have not seen, let alone spoken to Poppy in years. And coincidentally, they either all seem to have memory problems, or maybe it's that this is an all-expense paid-for vacation that makes them conveniently forget how they truly treated her. So when the friends arrive on said island and see gorgeous, successful Poppy welcoming them with open arms, it all seems a bit too good to be true, because it is. The pacing of this book was great. I found all the POVs equally addictive. However, this book does a thing novels do sometimes, where it spells out certain information so obviously. Are you trying to question my intelligence? I don't really appreciate that. This is one of those thrillers that's definitely best to just turn your brain off with and enjoy. But if you're looking for something a bit more complex, this is not going to be that. Moving on to my 4 stars. In the Dream House by Carmen Marie Machado is a memoir, but probably not like one you've ever read. Going into this, I truly did not expect the writing to be so unique. This book is basically told in a non-linear fashion where the dream house is a metaphor. So for example, turning to a random page here, dream house as noir, dream house as queer villainy, dream house as road trip to everywhere. And then in the actual text, Machado dives into what that means and how that relates to the overall themes of the silence in society surrounding abusive queer relationships. Reading a book like this makes me realize how some authors are so insanely talented that it's even hard to comprehend it. Like literally not every chapter in here I fully understood. I'm sure some of it went completely over my head, but that kind of added to the fever dream like reading experience the book had going on. This is not a fun loosey-goosey read. Then again, it's not a fun loosey-goosey matter. This at times is horrific, which the author portrays very vividly using these more horror-leaning elements. The writing overall is very innovative and is not something that I want to read all the time, but since the chapters in here were pretty short, I didn't really mind. And saying that though, some of these sections were just page after page of the author referencing secondary sources, which I personally thought was a bit unneeded and kind of took the readers out of the story. And I can see why she wanted to include the information, you know, for educational purposes, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who skim read those sections. If you want a book that's very different, but insightful, but still jarring, this is it. The Perfect Family by Robin Harding had all the aspects of the petty domestic thriller that I wanted at the time. This novel starts off innocent enough for a thriller, that is, with the Adlers waking up to find their front porch pelted with eggs. It was probably just the neighborhood rascals, right? You know, nothing to worry about. However, when these pranks escalate, the Adlers are quick to point fingers at each other, even though they themselves have secrets and wrongdoings that could be the root of all this mayhem. I know sometimes the everyone has a secret trope can be kind of annoying, especially if it's pretty obvious that everyone would be better off if they were just truthful. However, some of these secrets make you go like, yeah, maybe we should just keep that on the down low. Okay, this book is like average in length. It's like about 350 pages. However, I just don't think it did enough in those 350 pages. I liked what I was reading, it was engaging, but I just wanted more, especially with there being loose ends. Speaking of ends, that ending. What was that? That was so unsatisfying. If I had not read this book so fast, I would be more mad. Not mad, but annoyed. I actually read a review, which side note, I kind of thought was a paid review. I don't know if that can happen on Goodreads, but they were hyping the book up so much and they were like, that ending was so satisfying. And I was like, huh? Did we not just read the same ending? Hello? There's a difference between an ambiguous ending that wraps up the main conflict but still leaves the readers with a little unsaid, and an ambiguous ending where the conflict is not resolved or resolved enough, or in this case, contradicts the rest of the story. Still, there's something to be said about how I could not put this book down. The characters, although flawed and kind of problematic, they were all problematic in an interesting way that I had a blast reading about. The Resurrection of Wildflowers. I sadly gave 4 stars. I say that because y'all know I loved The Confidence of Wildflowers. So if you did not like that book, don't read this. It would have been hard to top The Confidence of Wildflowers, so I'm not surprised that this didn't. This felt like filler, but since I liked the characters and already had this connection to them, I enjoyed reading it, but it just wasn't that riveting experience I had with the first novel. I was kind of disappointed that the ending of the first was not that apparent in here. Like, there were some references, but this book takes place how many years after? 6 years after the first installment, so everyone has kind of moved on from that cliffhanger. And though we do get references to it, it still kind of felt forgotten, which, if you know what I'm talking about, is kind of sad. Also, the happily ever after in here, which, you know, all romances have. This one, it felt too easy, which is shocking given what these characters have been through. But read this and you'll see what I mean. But these characters have a small place in my heart, and the love they have for each other, I can't. Guys, look at this. When I tell you I saw this, I squealed. I was like, hello, it's past fall 2023. Where is this book? Turns out it's a novella, so not exactly a 3rd installment, but hey, I'll take what I can get. The It Girl by Ruth Ware, I picked up to read for a dark academia reading vlog go on to film. That didn't end up happening, sad I know. The reviews of this kind of matches the pacing. Both are a bit all over the place. However, the characterization in here, phenomenal. The characters are what really made this book for me. The It Girl is a duo timelines dark academia thriller that follows Hannah, present day, who is currently pregnant with her first child and is working at a bookshop. So to an outsider, Hannah's life seems pretty sweet. But this has not always been the case. Back in college, Hannah's best friend April was murdered. And who found the body? Hannah did. Also, Hannah's testimony is what ultimately lands April's killer in prison, even though he proclaimed he was innocent and continued to do so up until his death 10 years later. After learning about his demise, Hannah is contacted by a journalist that has unearthed some new information surrounding April's case, making Hannah rethink her past, present, and friends, who all seem to have something to hide. The title, The It Girl, alludes to April, the friend that ultimately perishes, because she is this beautiful, wealthy, smart student everyone either wants to be or wants to date. She kind of reminded me of Magnolia from Magnolia Parks, but a lot more manipulative. In the book, April is described as beguiling, but at the same time a little wicked, which I thought perfectly encompassed her character. It was kind of obvious who the author wanted the readers to think the culprit was, because by incriminating these other people, the real culprit was kind of obvious. So all that to say, this is not really a shocking thriller, not a thrilling thriller. Ruth Ware did write the characters and the dark academia vibes really well, but this book was too long to warrant that lackluster twist. I still enjoyed it, but I was just disappointed in the outcome. The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. The sleuth in here is actually pregnant as well. Okay, this is getting a bit weird. What is it with pregnant sleuths though? And why, whenever I say sleuth, do I think of a sloth? Someone could write a whole research paper around that. If I had to guess, it's probably something to do with how the author want the main character to seem more vulnerable, which, you know, goes hand in hand to how women have historically been typecast as the weaker sex, and so they're thrown into these dangerous situations as the damsel. And okay, I'm cutting myself off. That is a tangent for another day. Back to the book at hand. I don't think I've properly summed up this book before. Basically, in this thriller, we follow Harriet, who is currently marrying into the Holbeck family, one of the richest, most affluent families to date. Now, these people are rich. I'm talking like they even have a legacy dating back to the early oil tycoon tycoon days. Harriet has never met her in-laws because her fiance has always been like, you don't want to meet them, they're not great people, we don't really have the best relationship. But now that Harriet is becoming part of the family, the Holbecks want to meet their son's future wife. But as Harriet quickly learns, this family is one to play games. They're a bit mischievous, which is further proved when Harriet is given a cassette tape by one of the family members with some incriminating information. To me, the Holbecks were all walking red flags. If I was Harriet, I'd be like, I really liked the game aspect in here, as I never knew what the next page would hold. The last game was definitely the most compelling, but I just wish there were more games in here, especially since the book is called The Family Game. I'm expecting multiple games, not just 2. If you're thinking about reading this, right now is the perfect time. We have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Krampusnacht. Hold up, let me look this up.
Krampusnacht is celebrated on December 5th every year across Germany, other European countries, and Australia.
There we go. Y'all, all the holidays are in here. If you want to know what a Krampus is, I'm warning you, it's kind of scary. Don't look it up. I'm serious. Unless you want nightmares. I'm sorry, neighbors. On that note, time for a battery change. And we're back. Let's talk about Below Zero, the last installment in the Ali Hazelwood Loathe to Love You bind-up. Out of the 3, I was definitely the most excited for this one, as the stakes were undeniably higher. Our protagonist, Hannah, is literally stranded in the Arctic and probably will not survive the night unless Ian, the man who has been many things to her, ranging from a potential love interest to a villain, can get to her and save her. But unfortunately, this was my least favorite. Hannah's attitude throughout was quite frustrating. She was definitely not a girl's girl by any means, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't not pick this novella up, as I thought the story was cute, and just being able to see the characters from the previous installments made it worth it for me. Ian, the love interest, and Mara from Under One Roof are distant cousins, but their relationship is practically non-existent, so it was really funny seeing them navigate the awkwardness of reconnecting through Hannah. I'm going to temporarily skip over my 4.25 so we can quickly talk about the other story I read in here, Stuck With You. This novella was definitely my favorite out of the 3. I gave this one 4.5 stars, which was particularly shocking because this relies heavily on the miscommunication trope, but I actually didn't mind it. If I'm going to read about miscommunication, it might as well be in the form of a not even 150-page novella. Now, I may be a bit biased because there was a guinea pig in here, and Ali Hazelwood, you can't, my heart, it cannot take this. You didn't hear this from me, but the guinea pig might have bumped this up 0.5 star. Stuck With You follows Sadie and Eric, who meet at work and hit it off immediately. This relationship, however, is pretty short-lived, and these two go their separate ways until they get stuck in an elevator together, where they come to realize how what could have been instead went so wrong. This was probably the one miscommunication book that I didn't feel annoyed after reading. Was it the guinea pig, the bakery setting, the humor that really made this book for me? I don't know. I just know I had a great time. I said what I said. Okay, my 4.25. When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I have no notes. Literally, I have no notes. Usually for these videos, I make notes on the books I read. Instead, I chose to binge read this. Good thing that was just a couple of days ago, as this is all still fresh in my mind. You know, not having to take notes kind of seems like a good thing, as I don't really have any complaints. However, that also means nothing in here I felt was particularly amazing, which is kind of also how I felt while reading The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. But I will say, this one I liked significantly more. The characters had depth. I loved the small town setting where the two characters with very different lives tried to navigate the possibility of a relationship with each other. This book felt a lot like Part of Your World, except with different MC occupations. So if you want something with similar vibes, look no further. It's not as great, still cute, still very sweet. There's also no third act breakup. Thank you, Sarah Adams. That was so refreshing. I know there's a second book out that I do plan on reading that follows one of Adam's sisters, but you see, Adam has 2 other sisters, so I'm expecting at least 2 more installments because I have become attached to these characters that definitely deserve their own happily ever after. We all do. Next up, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this. Am I becoming a Harry Potter girly? I listened to this audibly and it was just the coziness my ears wanted. I will say Dobby's character in the movie annoyed me to no end. Like, he was the bane of my existence. Luckily in the book that was toned down a bit. He was still very much annoying, but he wasn't this annoying presence that I remembered from the movie. So that was nice. I'm very tempted to just binge the series. I also really want physical copies. Wouldn't that just look so great on my shelf, matching physical copies? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? And then finally, Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mairer. This is a romantasy, but also a workplace romance about, can you guess? A girl who becomes the assistant to a villain. Wow. Initially I rated this 4.25 stars, but I kept thinking about this, so I bumped it up 1/4 of a star. Such an achievement. The humor in here is very tongue-in-cheek. Just look at this map. But since the overall story is in itself ridiculous and it knows it's ridiculous, I thought the humor was pretty fitting. The whole book was kind of satirical in a way. This was really a hodgepodge of different genres. There's fantasy, romance, mystery, comedy. So you know, there's something for everyone. I love the world in here. It felt like it came straight out of a classic Disney fairy tale. The main characters, let's put them on the back burner for a second because the side characters, stunning. My man Blade, I need more of him in the next installment. But come on, we all know who the real shining star was. Kingsley, the frog that wears a crown and communicates with signs he always has on hand for some reason. What an icon. I did have an issue with how most of the plot points were coincidences, so I hope that does not continue to be the case, as I can see that getting tiring pretty quickly. It got a little tiring in this book, but overall I loved this a lot. It was so fun. Wait, I almost forgot. The edges. I like it. I know it's not for everyone, but it's different. It's unique. All right, those were all the books I have to talk about today. Hopefully you guys learned about a new book, or I don't know, just had fun. I had fun. I always have fun with you guys. Let me know down in the comments about a book you read recently that you think more people need to read immediately. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was actually my second take of this. First one did not turn out good, so we did it again. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help me, my channel out a lot. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I love y'all so much. I'm wishing you all the best for your reading in December, the last month of the year. Crazy. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.